And urging the country to come together.
This as the Wall Street Journal reports that the White House is expected to issue some guidance on the transgender military ban in the coming days. Fox News senior political correspondent Mike Emanuel is live for us in Washington, D.C. with the details. Good morning, Mike.
Heather, Rob, good morning. President Trump has signed a bill to streamline the red tape that veterans must deal with as they seek help for disabilities. The commander-in-chief was in Reno to sign the bill, where he addressed the American Legion's National Convention. The president praised his team's efforts to fix the VA and talked about keeping his pledge to those who've served the country so well.
I promised you that I would make it my priority to fix the broken VA and deliver our veterans the care they so richly deserve. And you see what's been happening. Now you have a true reformer in Secretary David Shulkin. He has done an incredible job.
Meanwhile, we are learning more about a 2.5-page White House memo that would give Secretary of Defense James Mattis 6 months to fully prepare a transgender troop ban. The Wall Street Journal was first to report that the president's order to Mattis calls for considering deployability, the ability to serve in a war zone, as a primary legal means to decide whether to kick out current transgender service members. 6 months to implement that troop ban. New transgender recruits would be banned and would order to stop spending on medical treatments for current transgender troops. House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi ripped this move on Twitter, writing, "This is not how you keep America safe, period. Hashtag protect trans troops." Critics say transgender people are just as deployable as other service members. The president announced this policy change was coming on Twitter about a month ago. Heather?
All right. Thank you very much. Nice to have you with us this morning, by the way.
Mike, good to see you.
Well, President Trump's threat of this government shutdown, it's sending shockwaves across both parties, Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, it's certainly been interesting, and Democrats resoundingly against this, and the president now threatening this government shutdown. Here's Paul Ryan on that.
I don't think a government shutdown is necessary, and I don't think most people want to see a government shutdown, ourselves included. There are very legitimate problems and concerns in the border that need to be addressed.
So anyway, it just bears reminding. Secure Fence Act, 2006. This is 11 years ago. This is to put up 700 miles of fence on the border to stop illegal immigrants from coming into this country, to curb drugs coming into this country. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Chuck Schumer all voted for this 700-mile fence, which exists right now. Now all of a sudden everybody says that fences are not the way, and it's so racist and everything. It's funny to me that they're so anti.
Well, it's another example of the discrepancies in the media coverage, because the media coverage, the reaction then was drastically different than the reaction now. Representative Steve King, he's already on board. He's somebody that does support it, and he says, in fact, the wall will pay for itself.
We build interstate highways across expensive Iowa cornfields for $4 million a mile that pays for real estate and everything. We can build a wall cheaper than we can build an interstate, and we need to do it, and it will pay for itself, I believe, before we can even get it completed, and especially because, and in the end, if we do a good job on this wall, we are going to need not more boots on the ground to enforce it, but less boots on the ground, because there'll be few people that try and fewer places where they can get in.
That makes sense.
It does. And at the end of the day, I don't think too many people really see that this is an illogical thing. I think it's just a matter of going against anything the president says, and I think he dug himself a hole in the very beginning with that first speech when he announced his candidacy for president, when he said those things about Mexican immigrants. I think that really hit a nerve with a lot of people and threw it in this direction. And now I think he's paying a price for that, and you're seeing all these people come against his plan.
Yeah. So I don't know. From then till now, I think just about anything he says, it has that visceral reaction from so many people.
But just remember that there was a Fence Act. Schumer, Clinton, Obama all voted for it 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
Well, the Trump administration, we'll talk a little bit more about it.
That's my read. I guess I'll start reading again. The Trump administration threatening to ban travel from countries refusing to take back their own citizens in the U.S. who are in the U.S. illegally. The Washington Times reports the White House triggered visa sanctions against Cambodia, Eritrea, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. This move fulfills a key campaign promise by President Trump, who scolded the Obama administration for not forcing countries to take back their deportees.
Well, the sheriff who made it his mission to kick illegals out of our country could be closer than ever to a presidential pardon. The paperwork is in place for President Trump to make the call on Joe Arpaio. He hinted at it at his Arizona rally, a move that Arpaio says he appreciates.
I was humble. It was great, but that's him. Everybody said he would never talk about it that night, but, you know, I know him. My gut and my heart told me he would talk about it, and he did.
Well, Arpaio was recently convicted of contempt of court for failing to comply with a judge's order to stop anti-immigrant traffic patrols. He plans to appeal.
Well, the Texas voter ID law gets scrapped yet again in court. A federal judge ruling the state legislature did not do enough to revise the law and make it less discriminatory towards minorities. The judge wants more types of photo IDs to be accepted at polling places. The Texas Attorney General vowing to appeal this ruling, saying they have the support of the Justice Department.
Well, a self-proclaimed white nationalist wanted in connection with the deadly Charlottesville rally is now behind bars. Christopher Cantwell surrendering to the University of Virginia Police Department for allegedly pepper spraying a man in the face. Well, Cantwell was featured in a Vice News documentary on race and terror. And the city of Charlottesville covering the Confederate statues that sparked the Charlottesville rally. Now, they were meant to honor counter-protester Heather Heyer, who died in the violence. But hours after the shrouds went up, a man tried cutting them off, calling it a desecration.
This cover needs to come down. Now, if the city was so adamant, why are we not having a public referendum and vote over this?
Well, this comes 2 days after City Council unanimously voted to cover both monuments. A lawsuit to prevent the removal is expected to be heard later this month.
All right, an arrest made in a possible terror attack targeting a concert in the Netherlands. It was a threatened terror attack. A 22-year-old suspect taken into custody overnight. A second man also questioned when police found him near the concert venue with a van that was full of gas canisters. And it was while you were sleeping. Also, a body found by Malaysia authorities turning out not to be one of the USS John McCain's missing sailors. That leaves 5 still missing today. The U.S. Navy now ramping up the frantic search days after one of our destroyers slammed into a tanker in the South China Sea. 10 Americans vanished. 5 have since been identified. This is the fleet's second deadly incident in less than 3 months.
With to extreme weather now, at least 12 people are dead after Typhoon Hato hits the coast of South China. A strong wind, severe rain, all of that wreaking havoc in cities, including Hong Kong. Buildings and homes suffering severe damage, with more than 150 people injured, nearly 30,000 evacuated. You can see cars floating down these flooded streets, just stuck there, actually, with some areas seeing more than a foot of water.
All right, more extreme weather to talk about, and this affecting millions here at home. Check out Harvey, now a tropical storm gaining strength, and it could become a hurricane.
Yeah, people in parts of Texas set to begin evacuating this morning as they prepare for the worst, filling sandbags and stocking up on supplies.
All right, Janice Dean joins us now, tracking what could be a serious storm, Janice.
A catastrophic storm, actually. Yeah. We're watching this right now, and you can see it is strengthening in the Gulf of Mexico. I think this time tomorrow we're going to be dealing with a hurricane. But it's not the fact that it's going to become a hurricane. The big story is the potential for epic flooding in this region. We are talking inches of rain, perhaps 2 feet, even 3 feet of rainfall. So this is going to be a big story. There are the tropical models, all in pretty much consensus. You see what happens here? This is a stalling out system. So that means we could be dealing with days and days of inches and inches of rain. We don't have any steering here, meaning that nothing to push this storm upwards, northwards, eastwards, westward. It is going to be stuck sitting across the Texas coast and Louisiana coastline. Hurricane watches in effect for parts of coastal Texas. We're going to see these watches and warnings expand. But look at the forecast rainfall. The legacy of this storm, regardless of its category, if it's a hurricane or a tropical storm, as we get into Saturday, a foot of rain, and then it sits and stalls across big areas, millions of people across Texas. This area remembers tropical Storm Allison that dumped close to 40 inches of rain. This could be a very similar situation. This is going to be a huge story affecting millions of people, regardless of whether it becomes a hurricane or not. I believe it will be a hurricane, but the flooding could be potentially catastrophic and potentially life-threatening. Back to you, Rob and Heather.
And that area near Houston just was inundated with rain last summer, too, wasn't it?
Saturated ground. I mean, this could be a disaster in the making.
Been a rough year or two there. Okay, thanks so much, Jen.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. Well, someone in Massachusetts waking up more than $750 million richer this morning. One single winning Powerball ticket sold right outside of Boston.
We really hope it's just a huge group of people that have this ticket. It's $759 million. That's the jackpot. It was sold at a convenience store in Watertown. It is the second largest grand prize in U.S. history.
And in case you bought a lottery ticket there, here's your winning numbers: 6, 7, 16, 23, 26, and then the Powerball of 4. So if you live in Massachusetts, check your tickets. And give us a portion if you're seeing the winning numbers right now.
Absolutely.
And we're
ridiculous.
telling you.
I mean, that's just such an outrageous amount of money. All right, 11 minutes after the hour, the new face of ISIS, a 10-year-old American boy threatening President Trump. How the White House is responding to this.
And signed by the start of the season, the brand new list of demands from Colin Kaepernick's supporters.
And powerhouse pairing, Google and Walmart teaming up to take on Amazon as the online shopping site seals the deal with Whole Foods.
Well, he won't stand up for the national anthem, but crowds of protesters are standing up for Colin Kaepernick to try and get him a job.
There's the natural sound we were looking for. 1,000 supporters rallying outside NFL headquarters in New York, sending the head of the league a list of demands as the NAACP requests to meet with him.
Jackie Ibanez joins us now live with the very latest on this morning. Good morning, Jackie.
Hi, good morning, Heather and Rob. More than 1,000 protesters flocked to New York City yesterday, accusing the NFL of racism. They say Kaepernick is being blackballed for refusing to stand for the national anthem. They sent a letter to League Commissioner Roger Goodell asking for a meeting to discuss why he remains unemployed right now. They're demanding that the NFL prohibit players' political and social views from affecting their careers, as well as starting a task force to improve racial equality within the league. Part of the letter reads, quote, "It is indisputable that long-held racial beliefs are embedded in the fabric of the NFL, and many of these beliefs still govern who makes it to the field."
It's political when the police kill us. It's political when white nationalists act against us. And it's political for the NFL not to give Colin Kaepernick a job.
Kaepernick's antics carrying into the NFL's preseason as others, including white players and almost entire teams, taking a knee to stand up with Kaepernick. Critics in the sports world says social media is blowing the situation way out of proportion.
It's just crazy, man, this time we're living in and the madness that Silicon Valley, through Twitter, through Google, through Facebook, the racial division that they are driving intentionally, and the rest of the American media is so addicted to the Silicon Valley social media that we won't stand up and do the right thing.
As for those letters, the NFL says they are aware of it heading to Goodell's office and will respond when the timing is appropriate. Well, what do you think about the protests and the demands made to the NFL? Let us know with an email at foxfriends@foxnews.com or on Twitter at FoxFriendsFirst and, of course, on Facebook at Fox and Friends First. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Heather and Rob, back to you.
There's no rule that says that a team has to give you a job. This has got nothing to do with Goodell.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no ban on Kaepernick. If a team doesn't want to touch him, no rule says you got to pay somebody millions of dollars to play football. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out.
And see if it impacts the league the way it did last year.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Jackie, thanks.
Thank you. Well, the FTC, meantime, giving Amazon the green light to buy Whole Foods.
Yeah, Tracy Carrasco from our sister network Fox Business here with what's next for this multi-billion-dollar deal. Hey, Tracy.
Good morning, guys. Yes, the Federal Trade Commission is giving Amazon the go-ahead to continue its $13.7 billion deal to acquire Whole Foods. The FTC FTC conducted an investigation to determine whether the merger would decrease competition under federal regulations and ultimately decided not to pursue it further. And earlier in the day, Whole Foods said its shareholders voted in favor of the deal. So it looks like it's on track to close sometime this year as expected. It's pretty big news there.
Yeah. In the meantime, trying to team up against Amazon, we have Google and Walmart.
Yes, from one power team to the next. So Walmart, the world's largest retailer, and Google, the world's most popular search engine, teaming up to take on Amazon. Shoppers will be able to choose from hundreds of thousands of Walmart products through the Google Express website, which is Google's online shopping marketplace that includes other retailers like Target and Costco. They'll also be able to do that through Google's mobile app or voice-activated Google Home, which is like Amazon's Echo. So move over, Alexa. The partnership will be available to shoppers starting in late September.
All right. And what is Arby's is selling what now?